Most people think claiming Social Security at 62 or 70 comes down to one question: will I get more money if I wait? Here's your check at 62. Here's your check at 70. Here's the break-even age. Pick one. But after 28 years of helping people make this decision, I can tell you the differences go far beyond the size of your monthly check. There are hidden trade-offs in taxes, your health insurance, your portfolio, and especially what happens to your spouse that most people don't see until it's too late. Today, I'm taking one couple and splitting their retirement into two paths. Same savings, same health, same goals. I'll show you what life actually looks like on both sides, and then I'll show you a third option that most couples never consider. One that might be smarter than both. If you want to walk through these paths with your own numbers, there's a link in the description where you can book a call with my team. But first, let me show you what we're working with. Mike and Lisa recently retired and they're going to be turning 62 soon. In retirement, their income needs are to have $14,000 per month or $168,000 per year. Mike's Social Security, if he starts at 62, would be $25,000, and at 70, it'd be $44,286. Lisa's Social Security, starting at 62, is $20,000, and at 70, it's $35,428. Miscellaneous income that they have could include things like pension income, investment income, maybe part-time working income. For them, this totals $45,000. It's not important that where the different sources of income are coming from. It's important to know that this income is taxable to them, and we'll talk about why later. In addition to that, we'll assume that they have a $1.5 million IRA, $200,000 Roth IRA, and they have $800,000 in non-qualified investments, which essentially non-qualified means not in a 401k, not in an IRA, not in some sort of tax-advantaged account. Other important thing to know about Mike and Lisa is they need health insurance from the time they retire until the time they turn Medicare age at 65. And if they're like many people, they'll turn to something called Affordable Care Act insurance. Depending on the state that you reside in, you might be on a state-sponsored version of Affordable Care Act insurance. And so this is going to come into play for Mike and Lisa, and it's a very important thing to remember, and we're going to be going over this in a little more detail in just a little bit as well. It's also important to know that Mike's had some health issues and longevity doesn't run in his family, so we decided upon a 77-year life expectancy for Mike. And Lisa has great health. Longevity tends to run in her family, so we're going to use 90 for her life expectancy. When talking with clients, I find that many of them talk with successful friends or family members that encourage them to take Social Security at 62. You hear a variety of reasons. Why should I wait? The Social Security Trust Fund may run out. It's important to remember that your friends are not you. Inevitably, their circumstances are going to be different than yours, and this will make a world of difference for Mike and Lisa, again, as we'll show in just a minute. So now let's assume both Mike and Lisa decide to claim their Social Security at 62. Some of the advantages of this strategy include a steady stream of income, reduced pressure on their investments because they're not having to take as much out of their nest egg from 62 to 70 because they have Social Security coming in to supplement their income. An additional advantage of doing this is if Social Security gets reduced later because the Social Security Trust Fund is running out of money, you'll have your hands on your money that you wouldn't have received from taking Social Security earlier. Some of the disadvantages of taking Social Security earlier includes Lisa would receive a smaller amount from the time Mike dies at 77 until she dies at age 90. In addition to that, ACA costs are a big factor to consider. So ACA, again, that's synonymous with Affordable Care Act. And in their situation, because they took their Social Security earlier, it pushed their modified adjusted gross income up, which means that they're going to go over something called the cliff. Again, we're going to be explaining that in more detail in just a little bit. But in this situation, because they went over the cliff, this cost them over $31,389 each year for 3 years until they turn 65, which would cost them a grand total over those 3 years of $95,517. Now, for obvious reasons, this is going to be a deal killer for them and other people in the same situation. So let's talk a little bit now about why that occurs. In order to understand what the cliff is and why Affordable Care Act costs go up so much, we need to understand something called modified adjusted gross income. What is included towards modified adjusted gross income includes things like wages, salary, Social Security income, pension income, IRA distributions, net business income, municipal bond interest is included in modified adjusted gross income, and income and dividends and capital gains from those non-qualified investments that we talked about are also included. But more importantly than what is included in modified adjusted gross income is what is excluded. What is excluded from modified adjusted gross income would be qualified Roth IRA distributions and applicable distributions of basis from the non-qualified investment category that we talked about earlier. So if you have buckets of money in those two areas that you can use to supplement your income, that does not count as modified adjusted gross income and therefore won't increase the premiums you have to pay for Affordable Care Act insurance. So to illustrate how impactful this is, I'm going to talk a little bit about Affordable Care Act tax credits in my hometown of Eau Claire County. So we work with clients in many states all over the country, but for simplicity, I'm very familiar with how they work. In my hometown, some of our clients that we have in different states have higher or lower costs than what we have here in Eau Claire County. But if you look at this little chart, you can see that if your modified adjusted gross income is relatively low at $21,150, your Affordable Care Act premium for the year is only $444. Now, as your modified adjusted gross income increases all the way to $84,600, your premium also increases up to $8,426 per year. But what I want you to pay particular attention to is look what happens once your modified adjusted gross income goes up by $1 from $84,600 to $84,601. Your premium goes up by close to $32,000 per year. So again, this is called the cliff. Once you go over that cliff, the cost of your health insurance to get you to Medicare age at 65 will go up significantly in just about every state that we have clients in. And so again, for Mike and Lisa, this is kind of a deal killer for them taking their Social Security early because that Social Security is included as modified adjusted gross income, which ultimately pushes them over this cliff. So that leads me to option number 2, which is what if they just both take Social Security at the age of 70? Now, with this strategy, I find that many journalists who write financial articles, and if these journals are not financial advisors, they tend to recommend delaying Social Security as long as you can because the amount you receive when you start is so much more. And there are advantages to doing this. For Mike and Lisa, some of the advantages include saving all of that money of $95,517 in Affordable Care Act health insurance costs over 3 years if they use basis from their non-qualified investments to supplement their income. Because remember, when you take basis from non-qualified investments, that doesn't count as modified adjusted gross income, and in this case, it keeps them under that cliff. Another advantage is there are more tax planning opportunities, such as Roth conversions, because they don't have as much taxable income that they're receiving from 62 to 70 because they don't have all that Social Security coming in. Once they get on Medicare, they could consider getting aggressive with Roth IRA conversions until the required minimum distributions start. Because you can't convert required minimum distributions, and the reason that they have to wait until Medicare starts is because we don't want to push them over that cliff for Affordable Care Act health insurance costs. An additional advantage is Lisa gets to continue Mike's $44,286 amount that he received because he delayed until age 70 versus the $25,000 amount that Lisa would have got had he started at age 62. So this ultimately protects Lisa's income until she dies at age 90. But some of the disadvantages of both delaying taking Social Security until age 70 is Mike only gets to receive 7 years worth of Social Security from age 70 until he passes away at 77. In addition to that, they are completely at the mercy of Social Security being reduced in the future because they're not getting their income before it gets reduced from Social Security. An additional disadvantage is they will need significant amounts from their investments for 8 years with no Social Security coming in, Without both Social Security income streams coming in, they are going to be relying much more heavily on that nest egg, which is obviously going to reduce the size of their nest egg prematurely versus if they did take their Social Security at 62. So we've talked about both taking Social Security at 62, and both Mike and Lisa also taking their Social Security at 70. Now let's explore what we call a hybrid approach. The hybrid approach typically entails the lower income earner, in this case Lisa, taking her Social Security early, and the higher income earner, in this case Mike, delaying his Social Security. In this example, Lisa claims her Social Security at 62 and Mike delays his until age 70. The advantages of this hybrid approach is they still save over $95,000 in unnecessary Affordable Care Act costs, especially if they supplement their income with basis from those non-qualified accounts, which again, those non-qualified investments don't count as modified adjusted gross income, therefore it will not push them over the cliff. They also benefit from receiving 8 additional years of Social Security compared with both taking at 70 approach. Lisa receives Mike's $45,286 amount when he passes at 77, which will continue until she passes away at age 90. In addition to that, they have reduced exposure to Social Security being reduced in the future by having one of them collect Social Security at 62 because they got those presumably 8 years of additional income before the Social Security got reduced. Another advantage is they still have plenty of tax planning strategies, including Roth conversions when compared with both taking their Social Security at 62. But remember, those Roth conversion opportunities shouldn't be started until after Medicare starts, when they no longer have to worry about going over the cliff, and those Roth conversion opportunities will end at the time or significantly be minimized at the time the required minimum distributions start. And depending on their date of birth, that might be at age 73 or at age 75. The hybrid approach seems like a reasonable compromise between reducing taxes, unnecessary health insurance costs, reducing pressure on their investments, and reducing the risk of not getting money if Social Security gets reduced in the future. Now, this is one of many examples where, in my opinion, the hybrid approach makes sense. With that said, there are many times where our firm recommends both parties take their Social Security at 62, and others where we will recommend both delaying until 70, but it is your circumstances surrounding a variety of topics on this that dictate the best option for your unique circumstances. Now, if you're watching this and you're realizing your situation has more moving pieces than you thought, that's actually a good thing. It means you're thinking about this the right way, because the truth is there's no one-size-fits-all answer here. It depends on your savings, your tax situation, your health, whether you're married or single, and what the rest of your retirement plan looks like. And that's exactly what my team and I help people figure out every day. So if you want to walk through all the 3 paths with your own numbers, there's a link in the description where you can book a call with us. No pressure. We'll just look at your situation together and see which path makes the most sense for you. So the bottom line is, this isn't just about getting a bigger or smaller check. It's about what your life actually looks like on both sides: your taxes, your health insurance, your portfolio, and most importantly, what happens to the person you love if you're not here anymore. Before you file, walk through both paths with your own numbers, because this is one of those decisions that's really hard to undo once it's done. Now, here's something I've noticed after 28 years. Even when people have a clear picture of what retirement looks like financially, even when the numbers work, some people still can't pull the trigger. They're scared to retire, and it has almost nothing to do with money. I made a video about exactly what's really going on and what I've seen actually help. You can watch it right here. I'll see you there.